Welcome. These are our wonderful friends, and we will let you introduce them to you. My friend Jamie, tell us a little bit about you.
Hi, I'm Jamie. I live nearby here in Virginia. Old friend of Claire's for 10 plus years. Just love being outdoors, being outside, and moving closer and closer to nature in my life.
What is your work currently?
Oh, personally or outwardly?
Both.
Well, for job work, I work with cancer patients as an occupational therapist and yoga teacher, and and personal internal work. Jeez, I wasn't expecting to answer that.
No, don't get into that now.
All right, moving
slowing
on.
down. I'll just say that.
There we go.
Real
Massive
slow.
slowing down.
Nice. And Luke?
And my name's Luke, and I live in a lot of places right now, but currently in the area. And new friend of Claire and Gabe's, not for 10 years, but it feels like it. And,
A little while.
Yeah. And I'm a PA student at JMU, and so currently in my clinical year, moving across the state and other states too, working on my education, and I graduate in December. Yeah.
So, why are you guys making a bus a home?
I'll take that one. It's something that's interested me for a really long time. There's a great community of people and builders and creators who've made things out of sort of your atypical structures, tiny homes, school buses, shuttle buses, things like
Vans.
that. Vans.
Airstreams.
Airstreams. And it's something that's really interesting me because I love the flexibility. And as someone who is currently traveling a lot and has some uncertainty of where I'm living day to day, it's always something that's attracted me to that. So hopefully in the future when we have it built, it'll allow us to have some flexibility with where we live and a little bit of creativity into building it.
Yeah, and I would say just the living an adventurous, different way and exploring what that feels like before having ever bought an actual home or owned a piece of land to start that journey with an alternative model of what a home traditionally is, and curious what that'll feel like, what it'll feel like to be living very minimally compared to kind of typically how we lived and most people live, and I think just
You guys are pretty minimal. Already. Let's be honest, compared to most people.
We're about to be a lot more minimal. And, I think Jamie and I both share a similar feature that we're not really afraid to be uncomfortable, and so it's easy to challenge ourselves to become more minimal. It's a daunting task, but I think we're both up to it. I say that now, and we can all laugh about that when we move on to the bus.
well, it makes you think too. Like hiking long distances, like. We share with you, Gabe, there was a beauty in less being more, and what all you owned was on your back every day, and I loved that and found it empowering and simplistic, and I think that although we're not carrying our best, that model of less is more, and really understanding truly what you need.
Right. So, in that light, searching for quality things, like you were saying last night, also adds to that sort of mindset of having less but making it more quality things, and then you have a deeper relationship with those things and probably treat it better, and no.
Well, so I have a thought. It seems like you're not the only ones having this idea. It seems rather a struggle for people to get a great education and then be in lots of debt. It doesn't really not happen that way unless you've been extremely privileged and passed on, or school paid for, or scholarships, whatnot. But so does that financial factor have anything to add to your story?
Absolutely. I've gone through a lot of higher education at this point, an undergrad degree, another master's before this. I was fortunate enough that that was with a graduate assistantship, so I minimized my amount of debt there, but it's still, the very similar student debt that a lot of people experience, and that was a major factor in doing
The
this.
initial, I would say, spark.
Oh, so you're not just hippies like trying to live off of.
Yeah, it's great being minimal and everything like that, but it'd also be nice to not pay a lot and be able to pay that into student debt and get it over and done with.
Crawl out of the hole that so many people in our age.
Yeah. So it's been a major, just climbing out. So it's been a major.
So we're gonna chug our bus. Frizzle's just gonna climb us out of that hole.
Climb out of the hole of student debt. But yeah, the opportunity to instead of just paying the rent and just turning money over every month to occupy a space and come out of that without owning anything. Is a huge motivator to be able to take a small chunk and be able to invest in something rather than just turning money over every single month and then also trying to get out of debt too at the same time.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Makes a lot of sense. What part of the process, like you said, creative things, like how is that tying into sort of what you're gaining from this, and how do you see that part of it?
The creativity is cool because with a smaller space you have, you think everything multi-purpose. Everything is, it's not just there, but it serves a purpose. And you're connected to that. And I think just like the creativity of getting to design it and then work. I mean, we have some ideas, but also getting to collaborate has been super cool with our friend out in Oregon, Kyle and Jeff, and then getting to work with you, Gabe, to like collaborate creativity, which is really cool in the space that we'll inhabit. And then beyond that, just thinking creatively about how our life might look once we are in a bus. Like what freedom then we have to move and what we want our life to look like from that point. Once we're already on what would be considered a less traditional path, we have more opportunities and dreaming and scheming up ahead of us.
Yeah. I think a lot of people in a traditional sense look forward to being able to like create something of their own, whether it's a traditional house, finally we get to build our own house and we get to design it, and all these silly places I've lived where the light switches are on the wrong side, or like all these little gripes, and now we get responsibility for that from the get-go. And so I think that's something like exciting to be able to do with one of our first homes.
Yeah, now that like schools are out, there'll be plenty of school buses that need use.
Yeah.
It's a good way to
Too close
recycle.
together.
Yeah, all of them have
Upcycle.
saved some miles. Yeah.
And what kind of bus did you get?
We have a 2004 International Freightliner that is Thomas built, and it has a Mercedes-Benz engine. The people who actually know school buses, it's kind of a question mark on whether or not that's a good engine. It's great until it's not, so we're just going to keep our fingers crossed that it stays great and stays working, and we have a great community of friends and have friends who are diesel mechanics and worked on the same exact engine, and so we feel confident in what we have right now, and that if anything happens, we'd be able to do something with it.
Yeah, it was a great energy getting into the sale and the buy. It just felt good. The people were genuine and supportive and let us keep it there for a while. And yeah.
And the name? You have a name, I hear.
I feel pretty good about Miss Frizzle.
Very good around Miss Frizzle. So our custom license plate, they're actually at my parents' house, and they're bringing them, and it's a spelling of Miss Frizzle.
The closest we could get.
The closest we could get, and we've just been calling her Miss Frizzle. It seems pretty natural.
Yeah, we're both drawn towards science.
So what? So let's get into a little bit of the detail of the bus. So what about that bus were you looking for in particular, and what maybe came with it that was a plus for you, and maybe talk about the price a little bit for some people who may want to do it in the future.
Yeah. So it's a mid-size bus, so it's not a short bus, but it's not a full-size bus, which makes it a lot more manageable to drive. Jamie just drove it for the first time.
Yeah.
crushing it. But as the principal driver, it's a lot, it's a lot easier to handle and navigate, and you don't feel like you're really moving something huge. Year-wise, mileage-wise, it had really low mileage. I think it had 127,000 miles, and for a diesel engine, that's really low. Price-wise, they had already the people we bought it from had already invested a little bit in it. They ended up not being able to continue with the renovation, but they had already insulated it. They had already ripped out the seats, done the subfloor, done the ceiling, and so it was about $3,800 when we ended up buying it.
Great.
So, there's a lot of ways you can bargain hunt and look at auctions, and you can get buses for really cheap. But Jamie and I were sitting there, and I kept saying, like, oh, there's this bus for auction in Washington, and it's $2,000. And she would pat me on the leg and, like, you're not going to Washington, like, sight unseen to buy this bus. So maybe in a different environment, we would have been able to explore and get something cheaper. But the amount of sweat equity they had already put in it, like, freed us up a lot.
And it was right outside our door. I mean,
it was in Charlottesville.
We had traveled and driven and seen places and bus salvage yards, and then it was like the right opportunity that was just down the road.
Yeah, and I think a lot of things, a major thing is rust too. If the bus is from anywhere in northern states where they salt the roads for snow, the bottoms are completely useless from rust. And so this one we found, squeezable, like you can just like move it with your hands. It's terrifying. And this one was in great condition, a couple little spotty rust spots, and everything else was great. So really felt good. It was right there in our backyard. The convenience factor was huge. So yeah. And this one also has a higher roof. They come in
I was about to say.
yeah. Most buses come in about 3 different sizes. One is short enough I would have to crouch. The other one my hair would be pressed up against the ceiling. And then this one I have about 2 to 4 inches worth of space, about 78 inches inside. So finding buses and finding pictures where you could see how tall it was on the inside was so difficult. And this whole process, and this one happens to be one of the taller roof models, which is the only one that would have fit me.
Just a little icing on the cake.
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't have to walk around like this for the next year and 2 years, crouch down.
Certainly kyphosis.
Yeah.
How long do you see the build go, or what kind of time frame? Just so that people maybe, because you guys are both full-time jobs and you're not really dedicating full-time to this, so how does or what is your aim, and then maybe your whole, because I think maybe people who have a job and they're thinking, oh, how long is this going to take me to totally rehab a bus on the side kind of thing, or
Yeah. I mean, certain people, when you look it up online, a lot of people work on these for years if they're working full time and don't have a lot of extra time to do it. Our goal is, when I graduate in December, to be able to maybe move into the bus then, if not, maybe a few months after that. So we're looking at about a half a year of time. We have fantastic assistants and an incredible builder and someone who's helping us throughout the way, and hopefully we'll be able to add to that some sweat equity. But that's kind of our trajectory, and we typically talk about when it's going to be ready, and then we talk about how we're going to laugh when we realize it was ready later or earlier. As long as we're not super committed to a timeline, I don't think we'll be disappointed.
Yeah, flexibility.
oh, I think that's good, right?
Yeah, thank you, Gabe. Thank you guys for tracking this moment.
Just a
luck.
little intro.
Yay!
All right, you do it.
So